So the first example we have says 0.4 times 10 plus 0.2. And they want us to actually use distributive property. So what that means, they want to take the number on the outside, multiply it by the first number inside the brackets, and the second number inside the brackets, and then add them together. But we're going to have to do some side calculations here.
Can I use a pen?
That we can erase it. So our first side calculation is we have to multiply 0.4 times 10. So we're going to put the number 10 on top, and we have 0.4. Right? We can actually kind of just ignore this 0.4 right now. We're just going to deal with 4 times the ones column times the ones, and then this ones column times the 10. So 4 times 0 and 4 times 1. So 4 times 0 will give us
0.
Yeah, and 4 times 1?
4.
Okay. And now tactically our next number, when we multiply, we always put a 0 beneath, right? And then we'd multiply the next. So 0 times 0 is
0.
Yeah, and 0 times 1? 0.
0.
Okay. And then we add our rows together. Depends how many there are, right? So we're going to get 0, 4, and we probably don't need that 0 yet. But here's the important part, is we have to count the amount of decimal places in the question. Are there any decimal places with 10? No. Is there with 0.4?
With 10, no.
Not with 10, but what about the next number? Is there any? Here?
Yeah.
How many decimal places? Just 1. So we take that 1 decimal place, and we move the decimal 1 spot from the beginning of our answer. So our final answer ends up being 4.0. Okay? We'll do the same thing.
3, 0.
The other calculation we had to do was 0.4 and 0.2. So same idea. We take the 2 times 4, we get 8. 2 times 0 is?
0.
Yeah. Then we use our 0. 0 times 4 is?
0.
And 0 times 0?
0.
And now, actually, we're supposed to add a 0 there, right? So that's how we do when we multiply. So now we add through, we get 8, 0, and 0. Now how many decimal places are in this question?
1.
So 1 in the first number and 1 in the second. So how many altogether?
2.
2. So because there's 2 decimal places, we start at the beginning, we go 1, 2. So that's our new decimal place. So our next number is actually 0.08. Okay? Does that make sense? Depends how many decimal places are in the question. So our 2 new numbers inside the brackets now are going to be, when we did 0.4 times 10, we got 4. That was this number. 0.4 times 0.2 was 0.
If I take away 2, 7.
No, that's
That's
added.
what I said on the calculator.
That's why we don't use it. And then when we add this, we get 4.08. Does that make sense? So our question says, what is 4 subtract 0.62? Now any whole number technically has a decimal right at the end of it, okay? So we got to figure out what this is. So we're going to line this up. 4 subtract, and now 0 is in the ones column, 0.62. So our decimals line up with each other, and now I have to actually input some zeros here so that there's something to subtract from. That's what will come after, okay?
133. Okay, I didn't get that right.
Now when we subtract them, we go down. 0 subtract 2. Well, we can't do that. So we borrow from our other column, and because it's a 0, we have to borrow from our ones column. Once that we borrow, we get 10. 10 subtract 2 gives us 8. Then we do 9 subtract 6.
Where does this turn off?
And finally, 3
How
subtract
does
0
this
is
turn
3. So 3 subtract 0 is 3. And the decimal just comes straight down in that same column. So we just bring it straight down like that.
It's 9 take away 2,
sense?
7.
Alright, we're going to revisit that multiplication question, multiplying decimals. And we're going to do it again, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the numbers out. So our first question was this one here. Okay, 10 times 0.4. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1, 0, kind of set up like a bingo. 1 in this column, 0 in that column, and our other number was 0 and 4. Okay, we'll count decimal places again at the end. What we do is we line this up like bingo. So we do 0 times 0. What does that give us? 0. So we put a 0. This would be the tens columns for the 0 and the ones. 0 would be 0 in both. Okay. The next question we do 0 times 1. What does that give us?
0.
Yeah. So in the tens and the 1 columns we get 0. Now we do 4 times 0. What do we get? 4 times 0. Anytime times 0 is what?
What is 10? Take away 10. 10.
So 4 times 0
8. 10
is 0.
Take away.
And now we do 4 times 1. 4. So 4 goes in the ones column. What goes in the tens column for the number 4? That would be 44. So a 10. So what I'm asking you is, we had a ones and a tens column. I would have 0, 4. That means the number 4. That's what I'm talking about when I say tens and ones column. Okay? So 0, 4 goes in. Now what we do is we add across these diagonals. And we write our answers out. Okay? So 0 plus nothing is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 4. 0, 0, 0 is and 0. Okay. Now, how many decimals, right, and we didn't write it in here, but there is a decimal here. How many decimal places are there in this question? We counted it right here, remember? Just 1. So we'd start here and we just go over 1. So our answer would be 4.0. Those other zeros in front become irrelevant. So you can set up any multiplication question like that. Okay? And what we'll do is we'll do another one, the same type of question. Okay, so we're going to set this up. We're going to do the second question we were covering from before, 0.4 times 0.2. So I have 0.4 and I have 0.2. So because I have two numbers, I'm going to set up two columns. Okay, so there's one column left and right. And I have two numbers on here, so I'm going to set up two rows. So I split it like that. Now in each row, I just put a diagonal through it so I can do a ones and a tens column. Okay. So I do the same stuff like bingo. 0 times 4. It's going to be what? Yep, 0 on both. 0 times 0.
0.
Now what? What is the next two numbers we multiply?
2 times 4.
Which gives us
8.
So what do I write in?
8.
Where? Top or bottom part?
Bottom.
Yep. And what goes in the top part?
2 times 0.
Well, remember, how would you represent 8? Here's my tens and my ones. In my ones column, I have 8. Do I have any tens for the number 8? No. So a 0 goes there. Okay? And 2 times 0?
0.
Okay. So now we multiply, or we add across. That's what's important. So 8 plus nothing is
8.
Zeros plus each other.
0.
Zeros plus each other.
0.
And 0. Okay. Now, how many decimal places are there? We have 1 and 2. So we go 2 decimal places. 1, 2 in this question. Okay. 1, 2 decimal places. Our answer is 0.08. Same thing we got above up here. Does that make sense? So that's another way you can set up the multiplication if you continuously forget to put that 0 in when you're multiplying. Okay. Okay. So we have the question 6 plus 1.4. Okay. So we have 6, and remember, there's always a decimal technically at the end of a whole number. We have to line that up with the other question's decimal, where they have 1.24. We're adding them. Now, because there's no other numbers after 6, we put in our zeros, and we just add down this question. So 0 plus 4 is?
0.
That's
Oh,
time.
4.
Yeah, when we're adding, we get the number. 0 plus 2 is?
2.
6 plus 1 is?
7.
Yeah, and we bring the decimals down, so our answer is 7.24. Okay, that's what our answer